Hello and welcome to Red Sting Radio, a Dead by Daylight podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bryson, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Stevie.
I'm here this time.
As well as Maddie.
Salut.
Thank you both. And we're joined by three wonderful guests returning. They were in our 10-year anniversary live stream reaction. Zuki.
Was a second Canadian. Hello.
Stevie.
The non-Canadian. Hello.
I'm already here. This is the other one.
And Gachi.
Yes, the only West Coaster in the squad.
We have good representation here. We're all over the country. Although I don't know if we have anyone in Mountain Time Zone and Central Time Zone. Maybe we need some folks in those areas. But we have a stacked cast. We have a really exciting topic tonight, and we're excited to jump in. This is episode 55, and we're talking about three asymmetrical multiplayer horror games that are releasing this year. Weirdly enough, on DBD's 10-year anniversary year, they're the 10th year. So we're going to talk about it in the context of that, and also just kind of give these three other games some love, because I think two of them, we're all kind of excited for. One of them, I think we're kind of hesitant on, only because of the developers' past experiences and history, but we'll get into that a little later. Yeah. I know Maddie's got some thoughts.
The moment you started saying it, I was like, yeah, you get me. You understand now.
Yeah, so we'll get into that in a minute. But first, I want to read a review from Apple. I know I've asked a few times, if you're on Apple or Spotify, leave us a review. And if you're on Apple, you can write us a review. And so some folks have gone in there. And this week, I want to read this review from Owine, which is how I think it is said. I looked this up specifically. Thank you, Owine, for leaving us a 5-star review. The heading is "So grateful." And I quote, "Been here since day one, and I have absolutely loved listening to everyone share their knowledge and insights and personalities with us all. It has been delightful watching the podcast and hosts grow. I remember searching for a DVD podcast because I needed more and saw RSR, and I've had just been born, and I had been stoked. Plus, now I get to be in the Discord. I have found my people. Stay rad, y'all." Thank you so much, Owine, for that wonderful, wonderful review.
Oh, so sweet. Oh my gosh.
It's been a long time since we were born.
Yeah,
Born as a podcast.
We're over 1 year old.
I like that.
1 year and
born
1
again
month old.
as a podcaster.
We're 1 year old.
Yeah.
You are the oldest person ever. Sorry.
Listeners, if you want to have your review read on the show, leave us a review over on Apple. Unfortunately, Spotify listeners, we cannot read your reviews. They're only stars there for now, but maybe in the future when that is changed.
It doesn't have to be good. It can be a bad review.
Yeah, like Maddie said in the joke, if you want to leave a
funny
review, if you're going to
I
leave
gave this one 2 stars because every time I think the podcast is really funny, someone is like, "Oh my god, go to the woods." Wow, I love that joke so much.
They're using old webcomic memes. It's terrible.
Yeah, how dare they? In my 2026 podcast. What the fuck?
One last thing I want to let listeners know is we have another community night. If you're listening to this on Thursday, it is Friday night, the day after. We're going to have a movie night, and that is at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can do the calculation for that whenever time zone you're in, if you can make it, and we'll be watching Obsession. I think that was the poll that kind of rolled out, which is no surprise. It is kind of this year's horror movie, or I would say even movie of the year so far. It was an incredible watch.
Yeah. So good. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. And if you're going to watch it, why not just come down to our Discord, watch it?
I think I did the math. Like, yeah, if you're listening to this episode as soon as it came out, I think you have like 39 hours, and then we'll start watching that movie. So
yeah, you have 39 hours. Yeah. Has anyone have we all seen Obsession here? Has everyone?
No,
CV, have you
this will
seen
be
it?
my first time watching it. I'm so excited to watch it.
Wow.
I haven't seen Obsession yet.
Movie?
Come on,
have you all
seen it? Watch it for free.
I've seen it, yes.
Haven't seen it. Unfortunately, won't be around, but I will watch it at some point.
Good.
Highly recommend
it. Really good.
Yeah. Steven?
I have seen it, and I am going to be curled up in a little blanket in the corner of my room while watching it with everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's that good. It's so good. Awesome. Well, if you are available, join us that night. If not, catch it on streaming or rent it or do whatever you'd like because or if you want to, you can pirate it. If that's your choice. It is very, very good. Okay. With that, let's get to the topic of the show, which is 3 asymmetrical multiplayer horror games releasing this year, y'all. It's kind of crazy that it's releasing in the year DVD turns 10 years old. I think we get maybe one asymmetrical horror game I don't want to say every year, but like every couple years. We had Texas Chainsaw Massacre back in, what was that, 2023, 2024?
Like 2022, I'd say, roughly. Like
I don't think it was that long ago. I don't know. Someone looked that up, but I think it was more recent. I think it's only been a few years.
Wow, I think.
It's been a few years, but that seems quite recent.
August 18th, 2023.
Okay.
Okay, so 3 years.
Later than we thought later. Mm-hmm. It feels like they make one game in every genre every year. You know what I mean? And if it's in season, does well. Yeah. And every year, Asym has not been in season. Maybe this is the year.
Yeah,
I mean, I doubt it. I don't even think when DBD came out, asymmetrical multiplayer horror was the game. It's interesting when they kind of glob onto a genre all at once. They being different game studios, but they're working on these projects like for years. So things just kind of come out when they come out.
Yeah. I do want to say one thing that kind of paints how I feel about old Asym games in general and kind of like my focal point of this episode. That being, Asym is a fairly new genre and one that's not very much explored. But I feel like a fatal flaw of other Asym's game that are trying to come into the scene is they're trying to go into a niche in horror for Asym horror. You don't have to do Asym horror, and I feel like a lot of games do that, and they kind of forcefully put themselves in competition with Dead by Daylight, where they're forced to do something greater or something completely like people didn't want at first, but that they now want from Dead by Daylight, and that causes kind of like not issues, but a hard thing to sell to people when Dead by Daylight is right there. But I'm not saying this as like Dead by Daylight's meat writer. I'm saying this as just like unsubjective, if that's the word, of why would you play this game when you can play that game? And I know that's stupid, but that's how I see it. I'm sorry.
First of all, meat writer is a crazy term.
That's what I say. That's crazy. And that's what my friends say when you're like writer diapers.
I totally get your point.
Because you're writing their meat.
You bring up a great point. I want to get the panel's gauge on what's everyone's touch point with Asym horror. Do you want more in the genre? I think we can all agree that DBD needs some competition, and it has. Not at all of them shooting themselves in the foot. DBD doing nothing to fight back. But Zuki, I'll jump to you first. What is your touch point with Asym horror? Is this something you want more of? You were just talking before the episode of trying Identity V, which is another kind of big one in China. What's your touch point here for Asym horror?
Well, I think we need more good Asym horror games. Like, I'm going to be very rough on my criticism on most of these I've played. I haven't stuck to any of them. And I've tried Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've tried Identity V, much to my dismay, but anyway. I feel like DBD, despite all of its flaws, has marked itself as a quality game overall. Like, sure, it has some bugs and stuff, but like, I feel like we need quality games rather than more games. But if the ones that are coming up right now, like Carnival Hunt being the first, and we're going to talk about it a bit later, if games can have that level of quality, then yeah, I'm absolutely hyped for that kind of game. I love that kind of gameplay.
Well put. Steven, your thoughts?
I think the problem with a lot of Asym horror games is not inherently that they're bad games, but that rather they're trying to compete with Dead by Daylight that has spent 10 years developing this moat around it, and that it has become so impossibly hard to compete with it because of the relationships that have already been built with behavior in these licenses. And unfortunately, Asym horror games live and die by the player count. So if you have a killer side that takes forever to get a game because, say, the balancing is out of whack and the survivors are too overpowered, then you're going to lose players really quickly. And Dead by Daylight has, developed this idea of killers think the game is survivor side and survivors think this game is killer sided, which I think is how it should be. But other games just can't get that because it takes so long to get a game properly balanced. And if they don't do it in the right time with the right game aspects, then unfortunately they're just going to fall flat on their face.
I wanted to quickly add to that. Case in point, VHS. Never forget what happens to that one. Never forget VHS, or as some people may know, Video Horror Society.
For those who don't know, fill us in on VHS, because I'm not unaware of that one.
VHS was a horror asym that came out, I want to say 2018, 2020, and it was in early beta, and the goal was basically 4 survivors, 1 killer, and there was different killers, different survivors, and the main gameplay loop is that survivors would go to different work tables to get weapons, and there were 4 different types of weapons, and each type of weapon had different, like, weapon varieties, and you basically had to go to the killer and attack them with it to deplete a bar, and that would get rid of one of those elements. And once all 4 elements have been consumed, the killer dies. And for the killer, you're trying to kill everyone before they can do that. And people realized you can really easily bully the killer and loop them basically forever while people make tools and then hunt the killer down. And
wow,
the obvious idea would be, okay, we need to empower the killer, or we need to take away the power of these tools or make them harder to acquire. They did none of that. They said, instead, we're going to balance these individual characters thinking they're the problem when the problem was the gameplay itself. And basically, slowly but surely, the game died out and they never went into full release.
Ugh. Yeah, unfortunately, it was released in July of 2022.
2022?
Yeah, 2022. Yeah, you would want it to be older, right? And it died 11 months later.
Wow, not even a year.
Yeah.
Sad. Gotcha, your touchstone with Asym Horror. Are you looking forward to? Do you want more competition? What's your thoughts there?
I definitely think that DBD desperately needs competition. I mean, there's, as much as we love it and as much as we, glaze it in our own way, I definitely think that somebody has to come up to like light a fire under behavior's ass and get some of the things that we have wanted fixed. I think the problem is DBD, like Steven said, the relationship with the licenses is a big thing. Like, yes, you can have a game that has Michael, you can have a game that has Leatherface, you can have a game that has Pinhead, but DBD has all of them. So it's like, it's hard to have a game focused on one license be able to compete with Dead by Daylight, I think, which is why it's kind of good that there are more creative options coming out now, like things like Carnival Hunt. And if like VHS, obviously, if they had done it properly, it would have been a really cool idea. But I think it's going to have to be something that's not a single licensed entity that is really going to be able to compete. And I don't think that we've seen that yet.
Yeah, it's like DBD is the Thanos with all the Infinity Stones, whereas all these other games maybe only have one. Like, how do you go up against that, right? So I think it's a good analogy.
Yeah. Funny you mentioned that. Oh, sorry.
If I may add to that, I think that if they can embrace the identity of the killers they're centering a whole game around very well, I think it's going to make an interesting game. But that's what they have to do. Like, instead of trying to be DBD or whatever, they need to really embrace the identity of what they're trying to do perfectly in order to, let's be honest, even stand a chance. But if they do, I think they can make it. They can do an amazing job at it.
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna say, case in point is Overwatch and Marvel Rivals. Overwatch was, in my opinion, as an Overwatch player, they didn't really do a lot, and they kind of just did what they did for years, which is basically nothing besides gameplay balances and the shop. And then Marvel Rivals came out, which was like their direct competition. People play that a lot. And then all of a sudden, Overwatch is like, we're releasing more heroes. We're going to release heroes consistently. We're going to do more gameplay updates. We're going to have
drop in the 2.
Exactly. They got rid of the 2. So I feel like if we want competition is healthy competition, or I should say good competition is healthy competition. If we want Dead by Daylight to be more itself and like to do more things besides doing the same thing, there does need to be like a healthy competitor. And in my opinion, it doesn't even have to be horror. It can just be an asym game. Like, imagine if Marvel, or DC or Star Wars had their own asym game that was action based, and it's like you're playing as like Jedi acolytes facing off a Sith Lord and you're trying to get out or something. That could be fun. That could be cool. And it would be healthy competition. But that's not today's episode. We're going to be talking about other ASIMs that actually exist.
Without getting off topic real quick, could you imagine a Marvel game with Thanos and you have like 7 people as playing as the Avengers trying to defeat him?
Exactly.
That would be phenomenal.
Exactly.
I think Fortnite kind of did that because you could play Thanos with the Infinity Stones.
But that was Battle Royale, though. That was in a battle
it
royale.
was.
It wasn't only
Fortnite did that is going to be a great thing. Can we clip that and reuse it every time we mention something?
This portion will go on socials and people will get mad, specifically people on YouTube, because that audience is totally different.
Add this. Make this. Fortnite did that.
Before we move on, Stevie, I want to get your thoughts on kind of asym horror and what do you think of the genre overall?
Like the way it's heading, I'll speak to. It's interesting because you can learn from Dead by Daylight in a sense, where it's a game that's been around for 10 years. So it's kind of set the mold. So it's also made all the mistakes. If you make a mistake Dead by Daylight has made, you look stupid. Because Dead by Daylight is still making mistakes 10 years later that they should have fixed, 6 years ago. But it's certain things that they can do differently. It's them trying to add new things or work within a new IP that gets them like tripped up and making the old mistakes again. Things like VHS where the killer gets bullied and we can't actually fix it because we made it a power sim by accident. Where I love what Gachi said, where it's supposed to feel like the other side is stacked against you. It's always supposed to feel that perpetually. You're supposed to ask each side, how did you feel? And you're supposed to say, I was underpowered. Everything was against me, but I did my best. That's a unique thing that I think DBD has stuck. It's part of the jank. And if a game wants to continue and live its own lifespan, it needs a unique twist like that. It needs something where it makes it hard to play, hard to master, and fun to master. It's that thing about you could be a master Dead by Daylight player, and you get stuck on a rock, and you get a medium vault, and you get somebody who just blinks on top of your position as nurse, and you can't do anything about it. It's stuff like that that'll keep you wishing the game was better, and not really inherent to the game's design. It's not built around the nurse always blinking on top of you, because the 2-hour nurse player doesn't even know how to get through a wall correctly. It's supposed to feel like that nurse who did it accidentally, and they know they did it accidentally, and you just kind of have to sit that and hold it. DBD is kind of hard to ruin in that way, where it's so much jank, you'd have to pull the whole thing out and remake it. And games that are working right now might have to not work in the asym to, the asym field to make a good horror game. You might have to keep it as a single player experience. DBD loses its horror because the pacing is all different every game. You can't pace it correctly to keep tension like you can in a single player game. But I think you need to look at what you're going for. DBD as a multiplayer game was a fluke. I think doing a multiplayer horror game is it's going to be tough. It's a real challenge. And all the jingly keys of licenses is probably the best way to keep people entertained. And I think DBD, has that stranglehold.
And the gameplay hasn't changed in over 10 years. So, it's definitely the licenses that I think are really what are racking in the money. Before we move on, I want to quickly just my opinion. I think asym horror, Maddie's put it really well. It's a niche of a niche, very similar to extraction horror or extraction shooters. Excuse me, I just blended those two. Extraction shooters, there's only really 2, maybe 3 games in the series in that genre right now that are kind of, and even then some of them aren't doing well, like Marathon, Arc Raiders, and Escape from Tarkov being the 3 big ones. But it's really hard to infiltrate something that's a niche of a niche. And I think these games we're going to talk about have a very steep hill to climb when it comes to this niche, especially when it comes to player bases. Like Stephen mentioned, it really comes down to your player base. Those queue times can be killer sometimes. But I think the best competition for DBD will be just strictly co-op horror. And I think like Outlast Trials is a good example of that, or Phasmophobia, or like games like that where you can play kind of collectively with other folks and have that horror experience. And I'm honestly surprised Outlast Trials has not implemented licenses yet. Maybe that's something they don't want to do, but they've done a really good job of keeping that game alive and also just with fresh. And I just see people love it. So that's really cool. Does anyone here remember Evolve?
I remember Evolve. I remember playing it on the live servers. I was there. I was playing
pre-ordered
Gorgon.
Wow.
I was playing Gorgon. It was my favorite because I thought it looked the coolest. Sorry.
Yeah.
I also love the spider, but I can't remember its name. I was there. Sorry. I'm kind of an Evolve like meat rider, dare I say.
For anyone who doesn't know, Evolve was an asymmetrical shooter, third person. Was everyone third? The monster. So there was a giant monster.
Just the monster.
It was first person for the survivors or the
hunters, and the hunters had to hunt down the monster. The monster had to go around the map, eat things, and get stronger and build up abilities, while the hunters tracked the monster down. It was developed by I think Turtle Rock. Was the developer, and so a lot of people were like obsessed with this game. It had a big kind of media following and just huge kind of presence, and then it released, and I think just the gameplay wasn't super balanced, so the monsters would get destroyed really easily if it was either hunters were really good at hunting down the monster or the monster is really good at powering up very quickly and decimating everyone. So there's a lot of balancing issues. Highly recommend checking it out. It was a really cool game. But yeah, that was I think that's the first time asymmetrical really hit through mainstream, I'd say. There are other examples, but I think that's the big one that a lot of people think of. At least I do. So, but I'm an old head, and maybe some young.
When it was advertised as a gimmick, games could be classified as having asymmetrical multiplayer, like Mario Party. We can say that a 3v1 Mario Party match is asym. Or
a lot of those mini games,
whatever. But Evolve was the first one where it was we're doing a game from the ground up where that's all you do.
We got to do it. We got to do an asym multiplayer history episode.
We should do a tier list instead. We should go over the history and then
that'd be good. That'd be good.
It's always a tier list.
I love my tier list.
Everything can be tier listed.
Everything.
And if you want to talk about asym, everything social deduction, I'm here for it. Imagine horror social deduction would be so cool.
One of my favorite board games is Fury of Dracula, which is asym. One Dracula versus 4 hunters, if you will. So cool. Well, let's move on to the first game that is coming out. And all these games are slated for this year. One of them, our last one. And we're going to go by release order of these. One we don't have a release date of, but it is slated for this year. And it's supposed to have an alpha test. We'll talk about maybe that release date here soon, because the rest of 2026 is packed, y'all. It is a packed year for video games. And nothing is coming out around GTA 6. So then maybe that's a conversation we have a little later. But first up, let's talk about Carnival Hunt. So I'll read a little description and then I'll give some folk, and then we can kind of open it up. But description, this is Carnival Hunt is an asymmetrical multiplayer horror game set inside living, ever-shifting mechanical carnival design by the puppet master. One player becomes the carnival monster, while 5 other players play as puppet bunnies, struggling to survive, ascend, and escape the hunt. So let me decipher that a little bit for anyone who is unfamiliar with Carnival Hunt. The puppet master, think of that as the entity in DBD. Think of the carnival monster as the killer. And then think of the bunnies as survivors. I think that is the best way to break those 3 down. However, the gameplay is very different, but we'll get into that in a second. This game releases in early access on July 23rd, which is next week. I think it's next Thursday. We'll be streaming it, actually. I'm going to be streaming it on the channel. So if you're interested, you can watch us stream it on Twitch. And then it's being developed by Beer Night Studio and Critivo. Critivo is also publishing. Beer Night Studio has never made another game. I looked into this. This is their first video game ever. Critivo is a publisher and developer. They've worked on all sorts of stuff. You can go check out their Steam page if you're interested. I think in terms of Carnival Hunt, so this game has had a few open play tests. It's had a lot of closed alphas. Maddie's played a little bit of Carnival Hunt. I've played quite a bit. Steven, you've also played a bit, as well as Zuki. Steven or Zuki, would either of you like to kind of explain basics, what the gameplay here is for both bunnies and as currently the only carnival monster is the magician. Steven, why don't you kind of explain the core gameplay of Carnival Hunt?
Yeah, so the basic premise of it is that the bunnies have 4 different levels that they are trying to work their way through and escape. Now, what varies is the method of transportation to get up to the next floor. A lot of it is finding gears and opening doors. That's the most prominent one. But then there are also strongman carnival games where, you hit it so many times and it gives you basically a zip line up. You have the capability of someone who is on a higher floor to lay down a rope for bunnies on the lower floors to climb up. And then you also have other things such as getting shot out of a cannon, which I think is really fun, and I have done it to Bryson on many of occasions.
That's the best one.
And on the magician side or the hunter side, you are basically just trying to prevent them from trying to ascend the tower or ascend the rooms. And you could do that by placing fake bunnies around where if someone steps on them or interacts with them, they get caught. You can do it by closing the gates. You can do it by using your little hat and doing like a Portal 2 style of grabbing, where you can grab the bunnies and then proceed to throw them against walls. And the premise is it's just cat and mouse. How do we escape? And then how do we prevent the escape from even happening?
Yeah, so the objective here, bunnies have to escape. They have to ascend those 4 levels, the 4th being the last. You have a certain amount of lives like you do in DBD. You have a certain amount of hook states. The magician has all these tools at their disposal. Of the people who here, okay, first of all, I know 2 people here who have not played it, Gotchi and Stevie. Based on impressions, I want to hear your thoughts. Based on this description, based on things you've seen, what do you all think? Stevie, I'll jump to you first.
I'm in my mind, I'm like, this could totally work. Like, doesn't sound like a stealth game. It sounds more like Red Rover. You know what I mean? It's not hide and seek. It's more like all 5 of us can make it through if we all try all at once. It's only one of them. So it's very much like even if they stop 4 of us, one of us probably makes it kind of logic. So I think there's a lot of gameplay around that where you just kind of hold forward. You just want to always be moving to help your team, to help pressure it. But I think on the magician side, it would feel kind of overwhelming with 5 rabbits all at once and 4 floors, and like you catch one and the other one slips past you. Are you able to go faster than them? Can you cut them off by like going faster than them up the floors? There's just little things decisions.
Yeah, I've played Magician several times, and it feels very overwhelming. Much more, I would say, worse than Killer Anxiety and DBD. Like you mentioned, you have 4 floors to manage. You have to prevent them from going up floors. You get notifications when gears or cannons are shot. Like, it's stressful. It's stressful to manage. But yeah, that's a great point, and it's very accurate.
Yeah, the huge difference between DBD and Carnival Hunt on like the game flow type is that on DBD, when someone's hooked, it takes the attention of 3 out of 4 survivors. One that's on the hook, one that's getting the hook, and the third one that started the new chase with the killer. In Carnival Hunt, it's only one that's busy. The other 4 can do their thing most of the time, because you don't need to go and heal the bunny that just got caught, except like for some exceptions. But you always have to be moving. It never slows down for the magician, which makes it, and I tried it only once, way too frantic for me, but it's a kind of gameplay that like a lot of people are going to like down the line. Very different on that front.
Yeah, well put. Gotcha, your perspective.
I will say I've wanted to play the game. It's not that I haven't wanted to play this because I think it looks really interesting. I just cannot because I'm sad console guy. But
only on the PC, yeah, currently.
I know, which hopefully crossplay eventually. Let's pray. I really liked the aesthetic. I think was the biggest draw for me. I loved the designs of the levels and the killer design, even though there's only one so far. There are going to be more, correct?
They already have another one slated. They're called the Sisters. It's like this weird puppet girl. They're like stitched together in the abdomen. Yeah, they're almost conjoined twins. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, it really seemed interesting to me. It just felt really overwhelming. Like I was watching your stream on the wonderful Red Stain Radio at twitch.com or twitch.tv. And there was a part where you were walking through the tutorial and kind of showing all of the mechanics, and then you walk into the one room that has all the stuff on the ground, and there's just so many things. It felt a little overwhelming, and I was curious for those who have played it. Do you feel like there's too much going on? Do you think it needs to be condensed at all, or is it like just enough to keep it fun?
Yes, I feel like it's a bit too much. And I'm saying this as someone who hasn't played it as much as Bryson or Zuki or Steven, but I do feel like there's a lot of like macro play in this game, which is not a bad thing. It's just very much not for me, which I know is ironic because Dead by Daylight has how many perks you need to think about? 200 plus. But jokes aside, I feel like there's a lot of like niches and uses for some things, and you don't really see use from them, while others feel like a lot more poignant. Like I believe there's one item that's like the tricycle, and it gives you basically a sprint burst on command. If you find it, you always want to use that. But there are some items that I don't think anyone has used. No offense. Like, oh my god, I can't remember off top of dome, but I think there's an item that's like a bandage, but it takes forever or something like that. I could be geeking. I might have
I'm not sure what you're referring to. Maybe a snug. I don't remember the names of some of these. There's an oiler where you can oil yourself as a bunny, and you can gain a life back if you've lost one, which is nice. But yeah, I totally get you.
Remembering it, I might have had a lucid dream about it. Jokes aside, but items like the oiler, decent, and the tricycle are also decent. But I do remember at least one or two items. I don't remember what they do. I was using them. I was like, I would ever want to use this. It's just there's a lot in the game, which I think is going to be good for like a pro scene if that ever develops. But for casual play, I think it might just be a bit too much. I'll talk more about it when I give my thoughts on the game, but that's it for now.
I'm going to make yet another comparison with DBD. Like in DBD, the complexity comes from you have to fight 45 different killers. You have to learn all 45 of them. Like it's a difference between playing against the game and its tools and playing with the game and its tools. It's the same kind of learning curve, except like you learn how to play the game, except instead of playing against the game. I don't think it's going to be nearly as long for a new player to get used to the game, because like there aren't that many items, and the use cases after I think like 10 or 15 games becomes fairly obvious. Whereas in DBD, you need to learn all 45 freaking killers and all of the perks if you want to even stand a chance against it. So I'm not too worried about it being complicated. Sure, it's complex, but it's fairly learnable, like way faster, I think.
Yeah, I want to add a little more context for listeners if you've not seen gameplay. So as a bunny, which we haven't touched on, you're running around searching for items and resources. So you can, like Maddie, there are other dead bunnies around the maps kind of around, and you can go search them. For one big thing you need is a key. The magician needs a key and the bunnies need keys because you have essentially an energy bar in the lower left. If you run out of energy, you're stationary. You cannot move until someone comes over and charges you. So you have a team element there where you have to stay charged, and going up ropes takes charge, running takes charge, all these different elements. And then in addition to searching bunnies, you will find items. So for example, Maddie brought up the unicycle. So you have an inventory, you have a little inventory space. The key takes up a majority of it, with maybe 4 or 5 more spaces being open for other items like the unicycle. There's a firework where you can stun the magician if he grabs a bunny and you stun them and he drops them. There's balloons to cross gaps, and there's a smoke grenade to get past and lose line of sight from the magician. So there's all these items, and then you have a hot bar where you can assign them, which is really cool. So yeah, it's essentially, and then you can play dead. Like you can play dead as a dead bunny, like you're running around and then you just hit F and then you just drop to the ground and you look like a dead bunny and you're trying to blend in. So it is kind of a bit of a cat and mouse kind of gameplay. So I just want to add a little more context there for folks. Go ahead.
So does the killer doesn't have, like Zuki was saying, that like in Dead by Daylight, the killers all have powers. The killer in this game, does it have any special like advantage at all, or
Yeah,
no?
so the magician has 4 abilities. He has like a set of cards he can pick, and they have different effects, and they're only for a certain amount of duration. And you can only pick 3 throughout the game, but you choose when you select them. He has like Steven mentioned, essentially a ranged attack that's a grab, where essentially he aims for some area around, and then he would grab you if he hits you with it, and then he would TP you to his hand, and then he can loot you, he can take your key off you, and then he can throw you down to the bottom floor if he wants. And then he has imposters he can set up, which he can set them down in front of like where you would turn a gear, and then if you go up to that gear and want to turn it, it'll grab you and you have to knock it off you with skill checks and such. And then those can also be set to be dead, or they can be they can roam around. So you can set them to essentially like it's like, oh, there's a bunny over there, but no, it turns and its face is like gnarly and it comes and chases you quite literally, and it's quite scary. So it's kind of like a
Okay,
jump
that's
scare
cool.
element there. And then what's the other ability? Oh, and then he's got
teleport.
a TP ability. Yeah, and then I think there's going to be some abilities that you can switch in and out, because there's a TP ability, and there's another one where he shushes. You hear like a shh, and then if you keep moving, he'll see your aura from a certain distance. But if you play dead, he doesn't see you, so you have to be careful with that. So I think those two are interchangeable. But then he's got little like.
Invisible.
Oh yeah, that's another switch outable thing.
Yep.
Yeah, he can also go invisible, but you can still hear his footsteps. You can, he also has all the bunnies and the magician have voice lines. So if he says something, like if he searches a bunny, you can hear him while he's invisible, which is nice. So, and there is a ping system in this game, which is kind of what we brought up before, where if you ping a door, everyone sees it. If you ping him, the magician, people will see it through the walls, which is nice. So there's a little bit more context there. From there, go ahead, Betty, go for it.
Oh no, I'm just gonna wait for your thoughts. Sorry, I have final thoughts at the end.
No, you're good. I was gonna say, from there, what do we feel about this? Do we think this has the juice? Do we think they have a confidence? They do have a roadmap in terms of content. Like I mentioned, there is going to be another carnival monster, is what they call it, aka the killer, called the Sisters, which is cool. They're going to add new adjacent rooms. They're going to add new main rooms. They're going to add items, I expect, and new abilities for bunnies and such. So I'll jump to the folks who have played it first. Steven, what do you think? What do you think about Carnival Hunt? Do you think it's got staying power?
I am a simp for the game, and it has made me very upset, but it has also made me very happy. And
as DVD does.
Yes, I believe, and this is just the unfortunate truth, I think every Asym horror game, unless they do something different and they're not trying to compete with Dead by Daylight, are setting themselves up for failure. You have to be different, you have to be unique, and you cannot rely on a previous game or a game that's still ongoing as your roadmap, because you are following in the footsteps of something that's already been successful and the player base is going to know it. Now, I like the game. I really enjoy it, and I think it's very unique. I think it's different. You're not just repairing generators as you would in Dead by Daylight. There are a ton of different tasks that you can complete. So I think that gives it more of an edge than maybe some of the other ones. So do I think it's going to succeed? Maybe. Do I want it to? Hell yes.
Well put. Go for it, Maddie.
My thoughts are pretty similar to Steven. I want the game to succeed, but I don't really see that in its future. Some pros I want to give it: the atmosphere and like the theming of the game. I love. I think it's super unique. And for nerds out there, the game specifically reminds me of one song. I kind of like. Oh, sorry. It kind of reminds me of one song specifically. That being String Theocracy by Millie. If you are a Limbus Company fan or Library of Ruinia, you probably know what that song is. But anyways, it reminds me of that song. If you know that song, yeah. And if you don't know that song, go listen to it. I feel like it really matches the vibe of the game. Anyways, I really love the theming of the game. And also, I think the general gameplay itself, when you actually get to play the game, it's pretty fun. It's a lot like a party game, I would say. Whereas a lot of people say, "Oh, Dead by Daylight's party game." I feel like that's stronger for this game, but in like the best way possible. The cons, I think, are that the items I feel like are gonna get kind of troublesome because I feel like some are just gonna be objectively good and some are gonna be objectively bad, and that's gonna be really hard to balance. And also, for some reason, you can find like crafting materials, so it's kind of like an extraction shooter kind of thing. So I don't know why that's really fair, in my opinion. Get rid of that. But
I'll touch on the crafting materials when I chat. But yeah, that's a concern for me as well.
Yeah, but kind of like what Steven said, when you're in this like area of like horror asyms, you have to do something revolutionary or greatly different for a positive reason to make yourself stand out. Like the only thing I think they could do, like not including like collabs or licenses, is to be free to play. And I don't know if they're gonna do that. Because currently Dead by Daylight is like $20, $30. If they're completely free to play, I feel like it has a chance. Additionally, I feel like they have another problem though. That being, there is another horror Asym game that has a lot of carnival and puppet-like imagery, and that game is Identity V, which is a horror Asym game that's pretty big on mobile and is also insanely popular in China. So not only are you competing with Dead by Daylight, you're also competing with Identity V, which also in itself has collabs with like Persona 5. So how do you beat the Horror Hall of Fame, an insanely popular game with big collabs? You have to do something bigger than that, and I don't know if they can do that, even if I want them to.
Well, yeah, I'm going to very much disagree with both of you. I think it's going to kick off crazy. Yesterday, I didn't think so, and then I checked the stats. It had 20,000 concurrent players at its most. It is in the top 100 of wishlisted games currently. And it's so different to DBD. I think it approaches a niche that's different enough that it's not about competing with DBD. I think it's going to exist concurrently with it. Like, sure, we know that like people that play DBD are going to play Carnival Hunt. Like, it's a scene, right? But I feel it's different enough that it's going to kick off. The only thing I'm worried about is that I don't think their niche should be to try and have as many killers as possible and have collabs and stuff. I don't think that's their play. But from what I've seen on their Kickstarter, it doesn't look like it's going to be. Like, they're trying to be very selective on the thing they do. Like, we're going to have 2 killers on release. Well, on the early access release. And I don't think it's going to go as crazy in numbers as DBD. But yeah, I think it's different enough, and the stats speak for themselves so far. I've checked the stats on the other games that have since died. They were like a lot smaller, especially on wishlisting. And like from what I've seen from many games, if you're in the top 100 of wishlists, at the very least, it's going to kick off at the start. Now, whether it survives more than like 2 or 3 years, God only knows. Like, there's no way of knowing yet. But I am very hopeful for it. I really hope it kicks off, and I think it will.
Yeah. As soon as I mute, Jarvis is like, "I want to speak."
Does Jarvis have thoughts on Carnival?
Yeah, he's like, "Excuse me." It's probably a trash guy picking up our trash outside the door. I want to piggyback off that because I'm very similar boat as Zuki. I do have my reservations and worries, but I think overall I'm very much excited for Carnival Hunt. I don't think it has to compete with DBD. I think it will overall do very well, especially with those stats you brought up. I didn't know about the wish list, and their open playtests have been pretty popular, and I've seen clips from DBD content creators that I follow, which is cool to see that they're kind of giving some attention. But I think this will be a nice change of pace for DBD players in terms of it not being chase oriented. Like, if you're in a chase with a magician, it's probably over within a few seconds because he just grabs you, unless you have some way to hide out, or you have, you stun him, or another. Speaking of stunning, there's a cute item you can use called marbles. You can throw on the ground, and if the magician walks over it, they have to hit a skill check, and if they miss it, they fall over. But if they hit it, they recover pretty quickly. It is the funniest interaction in any game I've ever. It's so goofy. Just fucking throw them. It's like so Scooby-Doo-ish. Anyways. I think this game is very cool. Like you all have mentioned, the ambiance is on point. I think the way the rooms are designed and the adjacent rooms that connect them is just really beautiful and detailed. It's not kind of bare bones like DBD is. Like, as soon as you walk outside the trial, there's like nothing. Like, it's just a gray box, which is annoying. But these games are very, Carnival Hunt is very atmospheric, and I love that. And I think if they continue to enhance that, it'll be really, really cool. And even add more of those jump scare elements, like the imposters that jump you when you go go for a cog or whatever. So I think that's really cool.
I would like to add real quick. I think the one thing that's going to allow this game to succeed is if they focus more on the process rather than the amount of products they push. So, for example, you don't want to implement 20 killers right away. I would much rather have them create 20 different rooms and maybe a few more different kinds of activities and tasks for the bunnies to complete, rather than them just, hey, we have 5 new hunters to publish. I feel like the game itself has a really good framework. Now it's just expanding the framework and not focusing too much on the licenses and the aspect of how many players can we get on with this announcement or whatever it is.
I also think it helps that this, as I mentioned at the top of this, Beer Night Studio, this is their first game. So it'll be cool to, which is nice because they don't need the player count that DBD does to survive. Like, Behavior is a big company. They have a lot of employees. Beer Night Studio, I don't think, needs that player count, which is helpful. Any last thoughts on Carnival Hunt before we move on to our next 2 games?
If you haven't listened to String Theocracy by Millie, go do that. It's a good song, and it really, in my opinion, encapsulates like the vibe of Carnival Hunt. So please go listen to it. I like the song a lot, so that's why I'm recommending it.
Awesome. Well, let's move on to the next one, Halloween the Game. Little description here. On Halloween night, 1978, no one is safe from Michael Myers. Become the boogeyman or fight back against the face of evil itself in Halloween. This releases on September 8th for $40, or you get the deluxe edition, which unlocks the game early on September 4th for $60. I hate when games do that, early access. It's annoying. It is developed by Ilphonic, and it's co-published by Ilphonic and Gun Media. I think they dropped the media, but it used to be Gun Media. Real quick, I'll give a quick gameplay loop because none of us have been able to play it, so that part is a little fuzzy. It consists of 4 heroes who have to rescue innocent civilians around Haddonfield. They interact with NPCs to help them escape, or they can have them assist the heroes themselves, like following them or having them call the police. Meanwhile, Michael Myers' goal is to kill as many people as possible, with a select number of being prime targets. And I think those prime targets kind of fuel your powers and give you more abilities, or give you more points, excuse me. And then there is going to be a single player game at launch. You can play as Michael Myers during the events of the first movie when he doesn't appear on screen. And like, for example, when he's escaping the hospital or when he's getting his mask from the store, all those moments where we don't see Michael on screen, we'll get to play those out in the game, in the single player game. Who would like to speak on Halloween the Game first? Maddie, go for it. Are we excited for this? Again, these are good friends from Ilphonic and Gun. They've done the Predator Hunting Grounds game. They've done Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They've done Friday the 13th. The list goes on. Go for it, Maddie.
I'm going to start this out first, and I'm going to be completely honest. I am very negative about this game, so I'm very much opposed to it, and I don't want to be mean. So if I am mean, please tell me to stop, and I'm probably going to be very negative about it, and I'm sorry in advance. Alrighty. So I'm going to dive right into it. I don't think this game is going to be doing hot after a year. I think a year max, it's going to go offline, and you only have single player available or against bots, and then we'll get Michael back. Because, specifically, it's being made by Ilphonic and Gun. Now, the people there, no issues with. Love the people there. The companies, however, let's not talk about it. Gun, if you don't know, they made Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They said repeatedly when they released that game that they weren't going to abandon it. And then after about a year, guess what they did? We're no longer continue live service support for this game. Additionally, Ilphonic has made games like you mentioned. It's helped with the Predator game with an actual Predator in it. That's crazy. They also helped with Friday the 13th, Star Citizen. If you don't know, they
helped with Star Citizen? That's crazy.
They helped make Star Citizen.
Wow.
If you don't know, go watch a video about it. It's way too long to talk about in this podcast. But, well, yeah, so they helped that. They also, funny enough, I was looking at their website, they also helped develop Evolve, believe it or not. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
How relevant?
They also helped develop, and under their like current games, the Ghostbusters Asym game, which I'm betting almost all of you forgot about because
there was a Ghostbusters Asym.
There was a Ghostbusters.
I didn't know about it.
Game.
I didn't know.
No way.
Xbox exclusive, which was weird. But one person could be a ghost,
that must have been why
four people were ghost hunters, and you were just going to rooms. It was crazy. But my main contempt with the game are two things. One being the publishers. Gun and Ilphonic have worked on so many Asym games that have done poorly and then have ended support within 2-3 years. That my immediate thought is, this game is not going to last more than 2-3 years. I'm buying this game for 2-3 years, and then I only have the single player. Do I really want to pay for that? And two, my main complaint is the gameplay loop. I think it's going to get boring very quickly. Because if you don't know, in the Halloween, you're basically a survivor trying to get people out of the town and trying to stop Michael, whereas Michael is coming into town, killing as many people, and try to kill as everyone as he can. And I feel like after a while, it's going to get boring. Because though there are different ways to get out, much like Friday the 13th, which I enjoy, there's also a lot of ways to beat Michael, in my opinion. They even show in their like gameplay demo that you can get him arrested, which is kind of funny because he's sitting in the back of the cop car, just standing there like
he's looking all sad. He's like, I can't kill any more people.
You get him arrested?
Yeah, he's sitting in the back of a cop car. It's hilarious.
Yeah, but it seems like they're not learning from a lot of their mistakes from their last games, both Ilphonic and Gun. And even though they say, oh, but we're adding this system so you can't easily beat him down, and if you try to bully him too much, he'll get back up. But people are going to find a way to break it. There's no way they're going to get that all the way, like, polished. So it's just going to lead to my main issue of it's going to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, all these other games, which I like, by the way. I think they're fun, but they're only going to last 2 years, maybe. So is it really worth it? And there's also the third thing, which I'm not really counting because it's like going into the bread store and complaining about bread. You only have the Halloween license. You only have Michael Myers as like your main guy. Like at least with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they had permission to make their own characters, which I think was really cool and kind of innovative. And I don't know if they'll do that for Halloween because everyone just wants to play Michael. No one's going to play like Sally the Slasher. I'm sorry. You're here for Michael. And like, I don't know how they're going to spice up the Michael gameplay unless they kind of, Bryce and me had this conversation a while ago where they do like different versions of Michael from like maybe the H2O version or classic, or Jason, oh my God, classic Michael, H2O Michael, 2018 Michael. I've been thinking a lot about Jason. Anyways, I am not optimistic for this game because of their past, because of the same things they keep doing. And overall, the gameplay just kind of looking very samey. But also, I'm saying this for someone who hasn't played it, so who knows? Maybe I'll play it and I'll be like, it's Meat Rider. Yeah, I'm saying it for the third time. Sorry.
No, well said. Gotcha, your thoughts on Halloween. You looking forward to it?
I am personally, just because I've never gotten the chance to play any of these games before. I've missed out on Texas Chainsaw. I missed out on Friday the 13th. And it looks cool, and it looks like it could have the potential to be really fun. I do agree with Maddie that I think it will probably get boring after a while. I know like when it comes out, it's going to be a blast. We're all going to be playing it together. It's going to be so much fun. But I think after a little while, it might get stale. I don't know. It completely is up to how the developers add and implement new things as time goes on. But as you guys have said, this company is not really known for taking care of their product. So I guess we'll see. Now, I am interested in the single player aspect of it mostly because I don't love playing killer in like Dead by Daylight. There's something about like playing against people like that without a team. I don't like it. It stresses me out. So I am interested to play Michael by myself against people that are not going to like teabag me at the exit gate. You know what I mean? So I think that is going to be really interesting. And then I wanted to ask you guys, did anybody see the Q&A that the developers did earlier today? Because they just did like a live stream this morning.
They did do it today. There was a quick write-up that I was reading just before this, but I don't quite remember all of it.
Yeah, there was some interesting things that I think will be fun. One being you can do custom lobbies, so we can get in there and terrorize each other, which will be fun.
Yes, please.
They have like gameplay progression tied to like cosmetics, to different perks and things that you can unlock and like equip to the survivors and things like that. Michael is driving a car. I don't know why he's driving car. The last clip they showed in the stream, they're like, their question was clearly a setup. They're like, is Michael going to be able to drive a car? And they just showed this fucking clip of him just behind the wheel.
He does drive a car in the movie.
So I'm like, is he going to run me over in the middle of the game? I don't know.
He also obeyed...
Go ahead.
He also obeyed every single traffic law there was. Yeah.
Well, maybe they teach driver's ed in the asylum. You don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
Who taught him how to drive? Crazy.
Loomis. That's the sequel.
Who we can play, by the way, actually, as hero, which is very cool.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too. Is that you can die in the game as like one of the survivors and then be reborn as like Loomis or one of the sheriffs and things. That's kind of interesting.
Similar to what they did in Friday the 13th, because you could come back as Tommy Jarvis, which was another.
Oh, you could.
Kind of
okay.
Yeah, it was a cool aspect. Only one person got to, but it seems like they're going to bring back. You can become additional police officers when you die here.
Oh, okay. That seems really interesting then. I wonder how the bots are going to be, though, because they said that the main gameplay for the survivors is to get like the civilians out of the exit gates. It's less you escaping as it is like you trying to get the bots out. I just can foresee that having all kinds of problems. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the NPCs are. Steven, I'll jump to you. What are your thoughts on Halloween the game? Are you looking forward to it?
I have zero faith in this game.
Thank you.
The problem is you have boxed yourself in to a single license where you are going to have the same repetitive gameplay over and over and over again. There's going to be differences in there, of course, but it's going to be the same thing. You're going to see the same characters. You're going to see, the same play styles. I don't think there's going to be too much variety in this game that's going to really allow it to sink its teeth into players and to keep them coming back. And I think kind of what Maddie said, it'll keep players around for a little bit, a year maybe, but I just think boxing yourself into an individual license or an individual character really just hurts the game. I think this is what Phasmophobia does really well, where there's a ton of different ghosts that you have to work around and, kind of solve and get rid of. I don't know the exact premise of the game. I've never played it 100%, but having a variety is what keeps people coming back. But if you keep having like playing against the same person or the same character over and over again, and you see the same playable characters over and over and over again, it gets boring really quickly. And I think that's what Texas Chainsaw Massacre really failed at as well, was it was repetitive. It was way too similar every single game you played. Maybe there was some variety in the maps, but even map variety gets stale after a while.
Yeah, well put. Zuki, your thoughts on Halloween?
Again, I'm the opposite person. So everything that is surrounding the game, I don't really care for. I hate that they're doing a deluxe edition. I hate that it's $40 at release. I think it's too much for a game of that style. However, sure, it has a single player, but whatever. But I don't think that a game necessarily needs to have 10 years of staying power to be interesting. If I can get 75 hours out of my $40 game, I'm going to be happy about it. I don't need to play 2,000 hours for a game to be worth it in my eyes. I go with the dollar an hour kind of philosophy on games. Plus, it's 2026. Developers are learning from their mistakes at least a little bit. Sure, I could be wrong. They could they could completely jump the boat as soon as they release it. But from what I've seen, I think there's enough variety to make the games different from match to match. The killer seems to be able to do a whole lot of things. You need to focus on a whole lot of objectives. DBD is complete 5 gens and get out. Like, that's repetitive too, and we're still playing after 2,000 hours, so I don't think there's the problem. I do agree that the fact that we only have Michael might make it a bit stale, but it all depends on how they're going to develop it in the future. And even if they don't, if I can have 100 hours of fun out of it, I'm still going to be happy about it. I don't need it to be my next year gameplay game, I think.
I just really want to quickly add, I kind of disagree with that thought process, only because this is Halloween specifically, because Delphonic and Gunn are working on this. They have repeatedly made horror Asym games. They've made Predator Badgrounds, I think it's called. They made Friday the 13th. They helped make Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If it were any other company, I would agree with you. But because it's this company that has these companies, I should say, that have continuously released these games and have shown little to no lessons learned, it makes me disappointed. And even if, like you said, oh, this game is only going to be like 75 hours and then that's good for me, I still think it's kind of scummy that a company is going to make a game that they know isn't going to last 2 years and they're hyping up and saying, oh, you should buy this. Oh, you should pay $40 or you can pay $60. I think that's scummy. And I think that players like us deserve better, in my opinion. Dare I say, I feel like they're doing the bare minimum below the bar. They should be raising the bar, in my opinion.
Yeah, but we don't know that yet. Like, their last game was 3 years ago. Like, for all we know, it's new people working.
They could have turned over a new leaf. They could have changed completely. I'm just more so unoptimistic. I forgot what the word is called. Not narcissistic.
Pessimistic.
Pessimistic, thank you. I'm more so pessimistic only because they have that super long track record of Friday the 13th, which was fine, into Predator Battlegrounds.
Hunting Grounds.
Oh, I'm such a child. Predator Hunting Grounds, into Texas Chainsaw Massacre, now into this. Maybe they changed, but the track record is not looking great, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm still going to retain my
totally fine. I hope this game does good.
Well, exactly. Like, I hope it's going to do good. To be fair, I'm probably going to wait a week and watch for actual gameplay before buying it.
Smart
move,
yeah.
I do have my reservations for $40. Like, if it was $20, I would jump in right away. $40, yeah. I need to think about it a little bit, especially since like this is in US dollar. Canadian, it's like 400 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm exaggerating, but like it's a bit higher. But I always like keeping my optimism. If it works, it's going to be pretty awesome. It might not, but it's been 3 years since their last game. Maybe they learned, maybe they didn't. If they didn't, it's sad, but we can hope.
I will say, you have FOMO. Yeah, I feel that. I will say, Predator Hunting Grounds does still get content. It still gets cosmetic content. Yeah, there is a dedicated player base.
Real question. Did they get rid of the Dr. Disrespect Predator skin?
Oh, I didn't know they even had one. Did
they get rid of the Predator?
They probably did, though. They probably. I haven't heard that name in so long.
Okay.
They probably.
Oh
did.
My god.
That's wild. I did not know that existed. Did not know that. Stevie, I'll jump to you finally. We'll finally get to you, and then we can jump to Saw Genesis. But your thoughts on Halloween? You're muted.
I think that Halloween is going to be slop. It's just kind of going to come out. It's going to be like just another one of the, like, I played this horror game at 3 a.m. with the lights off. And if Halloween had like a cool bespoke single player that like told the events of like the first movie in like a succinct canon events only type of thing, maybe it would be fun. It would just be a bunch of sets and it would be you walk around as Michael. And if it's like a really good single player, that's worth $40 to some people. They buy Call of Duties. If this is just Michael Myers Call of Duty, that's okay, I guess.
He isn't Call of Duty.
He is, right? Like, so if somebody who knows Michael from Call of Duty and is like, well, I don't want to watch the movie. Movies are gay. I might as well play the video game. And then they go play the Michael video game. I can't, I mean, I could fault somebody for that. It's slop. I don't know if there's going to be much that this game is going to do. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you could have a fun time playing Michael Myers in any game, but the fact that his game doesn't interest me as the Michael experience, I'm a little worried.
It's okay. So what everyone just said about Halloween the game, what all this whole panel said about Halloween the game is accurate. Everything you all said, whether it's conflicting or not, everything is accurate. And you know what? I'm excited. I'm kind of looking forward to this game. Like I'm on the side of Zuki where, yeah, this game doesn't have to last 2 years. I'm okay with it. As long as I put at least 40 hours into it, I think I'm going to be A-okay with my purchase. That's me though. That's a personal thing. Everyone else is different, like Maddie mentioned. But at the same time, Maddie brings up a great point. Their track record is horrible. Why should I give them $40? You know? But at the same time, maybe they did turn a new leaf, and maybe this will be something fun. I think the fact it's going to have custom games and it's going to have single player at launch is really helpful, and I think that will help give it some more legs longer than it needs to. But I agree with Zuki. I don't think games need to last forever anymore. Like that's a lot of live service games, and the mentality there. I'm okay if a game dies in a year. That's okay. As long as I had good times, I had some good times with it. You know, if it would be different, I put in like I'm a backer on Kickstarter and I put like, $1,000 into it. I would never do that for a video game. But if that were me, yeah, I'd be a little upset. But that isn't this case. I'm gonna buy it for $40 and I'm gonna have a good time with it for, I don't know, 50, 60 hours, maybe. At least 40, hopefully.
I feel like I've spent $40 on games that are much worse and that I have played for much less. But this is the gotcha mindset, point. So anyone who's played a gotcha game knows that.
We all love slop. Who among us doesn't like slop?
Yes, more slop, please.
I mean, how many times have you bought people who play Mario Party? Like, are you telling me you're putting? I mean, those games don't get updates long after, and you spend years playing those over and over again. Not saying we're playing this years from now, but you get my point. They're kind of a similar vibe. I think they have that party mode, kind of party night, like Friday night with friends, enjoyment, kind of like the potato chips of video games. And I mean that as a compliment, wholeheartedly. So, okay, with that, go ahead.
Sorry, I interrupted someone.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, if it makes people feel better, I spent like $40-$60 on For Honor when that came out. I put like 10-20 hours in that game, and I haven't touched it since, I want to say 2024.
Not For Honor. Hey, it's still going.
It's still going. I'm just saying, if you put like 20 hours into Halloween, you're like, it was all right, but I wish I had more. Just know, I've done worse. $40 for For Honor.
We've all dropped like $40 on a Steam summer sale and didn't play any of those games. We all know. We've all been there.
My game catalog right now is just full. It's a graveyard of my past purchases.
Unplayed games. Yeah.
How's those humble bundles? How's those itch.io bundles?
Yeah. Right.
Those just sitting there.
$5 for 20, 30 games. Like, it's okay. It's okay for this game to die.
But that's the thing is that $20 for 30 games might actually be like 60 hours of content between all of them that you would love.
Yeah.
You might not play them, but you might like them.
Yeah. And with Humble Bundle, it usually goes to a good cause as well. Like a charity or something. So
yeah, but be careful when you're buying games because they can be a bit of a trap. And speaking of traps.
Ooh, good segue there, Maddie. We'll jump down into the final one. Yeah.
You have earned your paycheck.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll jump down to Saw. There you go, Stevie. Video listeners, you have to jump on a video if you want a little teaser there from Stevie. Saw Genesis, a century. Oh, here's a little description. A century before Jigsaw survival demanded sacrifice. Experience the thrilling world of Saw firsthand in a new 3v1 multiplayer horror game where 3 accused must work together to escape a maze of traps while one judge orchestrates their rehabilitation. This game is releasing into early access on Steam in late 2026. So from now until the end of the year, you can sign up for the alpha now. I'll actually put a link in the description now if you are interested. Again, only PC players. I'm sorry, console players. I really feel for you. But maybe invest in a PC because console market is getting really rough out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gotchi knows firsthand. This is developed by Broken Mirror Games and Anshar Studios and is published by Bloober Team. I want to touch on that in a minute. Broken Mirror is a whole new developer. I looked into their history. This is their first game, but Anshar has worked on games like the Painkiller remake that released, I think, earlier this year. They also worked on Layers of Fear with Bloober, which is cool. Layers of Fear is a really good game. Recommend that. I want to get into the gameplay loop. Again, none of us have played this game. I've signed up for the alpha. I'm sure many of us here have. But I want to get into the gameplay loop very quickly. This is just a cooked down version of it. The accused, think of them as the survivors, need to explore and solve puzzles and find key items that help them escape. If the accused is caught, they are forced to play a game like the ones you see in the Saw movies, where you can either sacrifice a limb to escape. I've seen videos where you can like cut off your fingers or take out your eyeball. That's kind of how serious it is. Or your teammates can help you escape it before the time runs out. Meanwhile, the judge gets access to exclusive corridors and access points to watch the trials take place. And their goal is to essentially divide up the team and then get them into those traps in those games so the accused have to play them. The judge's objective is not to kill the accused, but have them seek out redemption through the games in which I just mentioned. But the judge can be vulnerable and can be killed if you're not careful. So you have your own exclusive little corridors and entryways and exits, but you have to get to them using shared hallways and such. And at times the accused can catch you off guard and beat you and try to kill you that way. There will be one judge at launch called the Doctor, and there will be more unique. They will have their own unique traps and abilities. There will be more judges later on down the road, and there will be multiple accursed characters, all with their own unique abilities. I think there will be 4 different ones at launch from what I've seen, and there are multiple win conditions for both sides. So it is not just escape, and it is not just kill. There are multiple different win conditions for both sides. Stevie, you're our Saw expert, our resident lover, enjoyer of this franchise, our champion here. What do you think about Saw Genesis?
I've been waiting for my moment, but Saw Genesis is looking to be like the perfect spin-off that a Saw game needs to be. Is Saw games that exist right now kind of muddy the canon, and they kind of take place in between movies with characters from the movies that you might recognize. This, however, is going to be entirely new characters set in a time period that we wouldn't think Saw could exist in. This is like
during World War One. Yeah,
so
incredible.
It allows us to kind of have a unique aesthetic in a license and have a lore that we can build on, but entirely have to start from the ground up, right? Like there's nothing relating to Jigsaw or anything Saw. This is predating it in such a way that like whatever exists that might be reminiscent of Saw things will have to kind of excuse itself as the prototype. So if we see a reverse bear trap, we have to see the older version. We have to see a reimagined Saw. And as a Saw fan, I'm curious. I am hooked on seeing Saw reimagined. So I am kind of disregarding the gameplay. I might just have fun walking around the environments. When I get to alpha test it, I won't really worry about gameplay. But if the gameplay is anything like a Team Fortress 2 death run, where you kind of have a player behind a glass pane who watches 20 people run along paths that they can open the floor and make everyone fall on spikes, that's okay. But with 3 people, we're looking to see it actually be like an adversarial relationship. But then we have the Saw twist come in, where now you're teaching them, no, I'm actually trying to help you people by making your fingers get cut off. So I think there's going to be an interesting relationship in the player base where, say, a judge main is going to appreciate the accused mains. People who like playing Survivor are going to be like, no, I actually like the people who play judges. They're not my enemy. They're giving me a fun time. They're doing cool things. So you're like, I'm expecting there to be a lot of like feedback where like, oh, I'm going to go through the door. No, I know you're waiting behind it. I know you're waiting for me. So there's going to be a lot of interaction I'm anticipating because these type of games have interactions like that. but I'm a little curious because I see this entirely not like a DBD Asym, but like a multiplayer Outlast Trials. Outlast Trials technically has a multiplayer mode, the seldom used invasion mode, where people kind of complain from either angle that XYZ isn't fair, or there's too much of one side doing one thing, or being spammy, or camping. And I don't think a Saw game built from the ground up to be multiplayer is going to have those issues. But I want it to not have the issue of shitty puzzles. I want it to have frantic moments where you know what you're doing, but it's still hard to complete because it's taxing on your brain as all these things are going off. You have to choose, like, do I actually have 50 seconds to complete this puzzle, or should I just cut my hand off? I want that to be the like calculus you're making. I want to feel like I'm playing Saw. And I'm a little more hopeful for the Saw game to do that than the Halloween game. I think playing Saw is a lot easier to do. We have, 5+ good movies that you can go off of, 5 more if we're talking the other half. But there's a lot of material, is what I'm saying. And to think that we're gonna go entirely disregard it, we're gonna go back to the past. They can do no wrong in my eyes. Let me just say that. I'm excited to be disappointed, but I don't think it could go wrong, except if no one plays it.
Yeah, I think the alpha test will kind of really make or break how this game is received and perceived. So that's interesting. Gotcha. I'll jump to you. What are your thoughts on, or Maddie, do you have thoughts you want to share now?
Thank you. Sorry for butting in with my big mouth. Sorry, but this is probably because we haven't seen much gameplay of it. But I am probably the most optimistic for this game of the 3 that we've talked about tonight, specifically because we don't really know much about it, but also the gameplay loop seems refreshing in my opinion, because a lot of the times you're trying to kill your opponent. This game is actively saying, no, you do not want to kill these people. You want to gain, like, what was it called again? Like, what was
you want them here? Yeah, let me hear. You want them to atone for their sins. So essentially, you want them to successfully escape the game. So maybe there's a meter or kind of, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, you want them to atone.
That is so refreshing. Instead of killing them, you're trying to get them to, like, atone for their sins, basically. I think that's so interesting and also really flavorful for the Saw franchise. Like, John Kramer is all about that. That is his bread and butter. And we're getting to reflect that. And we get to be them, but we're not John Kramer. We're our own little fucked up little guy. We're Herman Carter. The doctor. Ha ha ha. And I just think that's really interesting. I also like how in a lot of these games, they're like, oh, you can bully the killer. You can kill them. You can beat them up. You can poop in their butt. But what I find really interesting is that in this game, the ability to bully the killer is in control of the killer, or the judge, I should say, because they have to actively go in these dangerous areas where the survivors can go and beat them up. But there's the trade-off of that's how you get the survivors into the traps. You can use your syringe to stun them, take them away, put them in a trap. That's how you get them to be in your traps to play these games. You have to go down there into these dangerous areas and, like, kind of divide and conquer. And I think that's really interesting. And also the idea of multiple win conditions lets different playstyles emerge, which is hopefully for the best and not unhealthy. But maybe, instead of, like, trying to pick off one person specifically, I want to get, like, a little bit of judgment sin, whatever it's called, on each person and then let them go. Or maybe for survivors, we don't want to beat up and kill him. Maybe we just want to escape the traps and do the puzzles as quickly as possible. Let's let Leonard get picked on all the time because he's the smartest. I think that's really fun. But again, this is only because we know so little. Maybe it comes out and it's like another fucking Asym game, much like Dead by Daylight, and I'm gonna be like, oh fuck, I like this one. But I am cautiously optimistic. I also want to point out it has kind of a similar vibe to the Outlast Trials, which can either be a major caveat for the game, because people are gonna be like, oh, why would I just play this when I can go play Outlast Trials? Or it could be really advantageous, because people could be like, what if they do a collab? And they're like, yo, let's do a collab. And so we got, like, one of the characters from Outlast Trials into the Saw game and one of the characters in the Saw game in Outlast Trials, and it'd be cool, kind of like benefactory deal. I don't know. I think it'd be cool. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
Doesn't Outlast Trial take place during one of the World Wars? Is it
no
one or
idea.
two?
I'm not the Outlast Trials girly. I'm looking at Stevie.
Stevie,
Do you know when this game takes place?
Do you know?
Okay, so they kind of loosely base it. They say a century ago, like before the Saw
Okay.
events. But if we're gonna say the Saw events happened in like 2003, 2004, parallel to the movie, it's a little too early for our main character to be like the World War One survivor that he's supposed to be. So we're gonna place it like 90 years before Saw. We're gonna say this happens 90 years before Saw, whereas like something like Outlast Trials happens in the 50s and 60s.
Ooh,
Something closer to like
the Cold War.
Cold War.
Yeah, Cold War.
Yes, let's say like yes. We're thinking like Outlast Trials has kind of been around for 3 years, and they've kind of matched their storyline with those 3 years. Like, so they kind of like picked a date and followed chronologically. So they're about it, like
That's
the
cool.
JFK assassination. So they get to play around with that in universe if they choose to.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, we're saying Cold War. We're saying the start of the Cold War. We're gonna set our preview of like what the Outlast world was like. So we're going to take Saw and we're going to rewind it all the way back and say we're going to give you a preview of what Saw could be like in World War One. So this is pre 1940s. This is like a guy got his jaw blown off and he was like, people need to learn the struggle that I learned. Let me make them put their hand in a steam boiler because we don't have gas powered engines anymore, or right now. You know what I mean? Like, put the railroad spike in your eyeball. So you can
in your butt.
Yeah, like I'm so curious. Like, are we gonna have like a Tesla coil? I'm so like, is this guy gonna be a genius who like had technology that could have saved world hunger at like the 1930s, but he's using it to torture people? This is gonna be
I'm not
cute.
sure.
I could
It'd be interesting.
world hunger, but I wanted to kill puppies. You don't understand.
Oh no, not the puppies.
There's
alone.
this fun parallel I see that might come about with Outlast Trials, if we're lucky, with the Saw game, where you have Outlast Trials players who kind of Stockholm themselves into believing that their character is actually going through the therapy and improving, because that's like the theme of the game is your character is getting desensitized to violence. Meanwhile, you, the player, are getting desensitized to the violence you're being presented with the game as you play it. It's called this what's the word? Ludonarrative harmony. This is the word where you are experiencing what your character is experiencing. So if we have a moment in Saw where like you playing the judge has like 3 people escape on you and they're nice about it and they're like, thank you for redeeming us, thank you for showing us the way, and then you're like, you're welcome. I think that's might be a wholesome end to like losing the game, right? Saw has a chance to be a sportsmanship game, I think, because it'll be about puzzles and there'll be this harmony where it's not about like, the stupid survivors escaped and now I'm going to get tortured by the entity because I didn't kill them. Or like, the stupid killer camped me. I hate this game. Now it's like, well, maybe I did deserve this. Maybe I deserve to be in this basement.
I also think the Saw player, like the Saw fans, the hardcore Saw fans, are just like fervorous for Saw and are like even the bad Saws that like they love, like they just Saw lovers love Saw. So I think that will penetrate this player base, I think, really well and create maybe in a weird way a wholesome community, which would be cool. Gotchi, what are your thoughts on Saw Genesis? Is this something that's on your radar? Are you looking forward to it?
I would say out of the 3 that we've talked about, this is the one I'm most excited for. I don't know, it feels like there's so much potential for this one. And I don't know if it's because we know the least about this yet, so it's still very fresh and we can imagine all the things that we kind of hope that it's going to be. But, I mean, this is for the escape room girlies. Like, this is for, I'm hoping that it's going to be a little bit more intellectual in the way that they have you use the mechanics to escape. Because I think any one of us who has seen a Saw movie has tried to put ourselves in that situation. We have said, like, well, how would I get out of this? What would I do in this situation? And I think it's going to be so much fun to actually put that to practice. And I hope that they do things like when they have like the group settings in the Saw movies. It's like, oh, well, if you guys had just done this, this would be an easier way for you to get out, but you decided to do this instead, and now you've made it worse for everyone, and 6 people are dead. So it's like, I'm really hoping that there's some like twists and turns in that respect. And I definitely think that what Stevie said is probably the most interesting part of it, is that the point of Saw is that Jigsaw wants you to survive. So the different win conditions, and like there is that whole option for like a harmonious relationship between the killer and the survivors, as harmonious as it can be, you know. And the mini games of like getting caught and being in your own little trap. And God, I can't stop thinking about like being in a trap and being in solo queue and being like, okay, well, maybe my teammates are gonna come get me out of this thing. And then you're dealing with, as James A. Janice says, slow ass motherfucking Jeff who can't make it to the trap in time, and you're dead.
Oh my God.
Because you have to cut off your arm and
sacrifice an eye or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, there's just so much potential for fun. And I cannot wait to see how they implement the lore. Because like, again, like Stevie said, like, I think this is the best possible way to do a Saw game, because you're not beholden to, well, now you have to play Jigsaw and now you have to play through this storyline. It's the concept of Saw as opposed to coming directly from the movies. So there's a lot more that you can play with in that area. So I'm excited to see where that goes. I think something really cool, if it were at all possible in my dream world, later down the line, you could like map design, like custom design traps and certain things like that, and like maybe take certain presets and set it up, you know. Eventually I think that would be really cool, but I don't know how much resources this company has, but there's just a lot of things to look forward to with this one, I think. And I think maybe because we don't know too much, but I cannot wait for the alpha, so I'm very excited for this one.
Mario Maker Saw Edition.
Please. Let me make my Saw traps. I don't know if it's just me being a little psychotic, but I think
developed by Nintendo. That one Nintendo collab.
Yes.
Steven, do you have interest in Saw Genesis? Are you pumped for this one?
I think it's going to be unique because it's not a hunter killer based game. I think it's unique in the sense of you're not boxing yourself into, oh, hey, it's Saw, here are the Saw characters, this is all that you get. There's going to be so much more to the game itself rather than just focusing on the title. The idea that Gachi brought up of making your own traps, I saw Stevie lean into the camera so close. I could see some traps being conjured up behind those eyes as that recommendation was made. But that's a cool idea. You know, hey, here's some traps. How are you going to escape it? What I think will be cool is they can implement a plethora of traps that are just crazy, right? You know, hey, this person came up with this idea for a trap. Let's add it to the live game. Like, I could imagine people coming up with such complex traps that could make its way into the live game, but you're not boxing yourself into this single license. You're boxing yourself into the idea of Saw. And I think just having the idea be the game makes it so much better than the characters making the game. I think that's where the key difference of like the Halloween game comes in. Hey, you have Michael Myers. You play as Michael Myers. Here are the characters from the Halloween movies. But Saw, it's not, you know, here's the characters from Saw. It's here's the idea. Let's see what you guys can do with it. And that, I think, is going to make it all the more interesting for everybody. And feel like a follower here, but I am very excited for this game. I think this one has the highest chance of success compared to the other ones. But I like Carnival Hunt the most, but I think this one has the highest chances of success.
Yeah, you put it well with not blinking. I don't know why. I lost my train of thought. You put it well in terms of, you put it as it being a playground. Like, you're not playing John Kramer or Amanda Young. Like, you're setting it in that universe, and you have the themes of Saw. I think that is the best way to do that. And yeah, I totally agree. I think this has legs for sure. Zuki, your thoughts on Saw Genesis?
Yeah, I like the idea of a cat and mouse game where killing isn't the main objective. Like, I think it's a bit of a refreshing kind of game. Like, sure, like you still want the accused to chop their arm off, like, because you're definitely going to get points from that. Like, if we look at it from a gameplay perspective, you're going to get points if they pull their eyes out. Like, obviously, but I like that it's like a bit more nuanced than just kill everyone or like escape or kill the killer before he kills us. However, I'm never going to play the game. I don't care for gore. I do not want to watch my character pull their eye out. There is a very explicit scene of it in the trailer they show. I will never play this game unless they have a mode where they lower the gore, which I severely doubt. Yeah. But not my kind of game because of the graphical gore. But if it wasn't for that, I probably would play.
Yeah, maybe an accessibility option where
that would be nice. Yeah,
blur that stuff.
Yeah,
but
like, if there is an accessibility option, like the potential variety that comes from the alternative objective, especially since they said like there are multiple ways of winning the game for both sides. I'm interested by that, but there has to be the accessibility option. Otherwise, I just can't. Like,
yeah,
I do not want to have to avert my eyes every time something happens on screen.
Yeah.
And you don't want to avert your eyes when you lose an eye.
Right.
Hey.
And to give more context to listeners, if you haven't seen trailers, as an accused, those games, you do have to choose if you run out of time or you're caught in there and no one helps you. You have to choose on, like, I think the two options they show is like severing fingers off your hand. Like, you might survive the trap or taking an eyeball out. You might survive the trap, but that will impact your ability to do puzzles later on. So, for example, maybe there's something you need two hands for and you don't have fingers on one of your hands. You have a less of an ability, or you can't maybe interact with that specific object. So those things impact gameplay later on, which I think is really fascinating. But also, yes, there is that gore aspect you got to worry about.
There is one thing we have to not forget. It's still a game. It is going to eventually become a solved issue where everyone knows the best outcome to everything. So I feel like, as with DBD, like when you start with DBD, you're still afraid of the killer. You're afraid of everything. You jump at everything. Eventually, it's going to become a lot more mechanical, just as basically every other game. But until then, it's still a refreshing idea. I'm fairly hopeful for it. I still think like it might be a bit too niche to kick off for a long amount of time, because I don't know a lot of people that are into like gory horror like that. I mean, I know there are, but I feel like the scene is about just as small as with the other games we've talked about today. So I'm a bit worried, but I'm not worried because of the gameplay. I'm worried because of the scene itself.
Yeah, well put. Any final thoughts on Saw Genesis before we move on to our killer tier list? I think that pretty much sums it up here. Yeah, it's DBD's 10th year, and we're getting these three games. I Saw Genesis sounds cool. I like that Bloober is publishing. Bloober is very, in my eyes, one of the best kind of horror developers out there right now. They did Chronos New Dawn from last year. They did the Silent Hill 2 remake. They're doing a Silent Hill 1 remake now. They've done Layers of Fear, Observer, all sorts of stuff, like some walking sim horror is kind of early stuff. And then now they're really getting to the gameplay stuff. So I'm really excited to see them publishing this and putting their publishing chops to the test, which is cool. I'm excited to see this one come out, and I'm excited for that alpha test for sure. These being in the year 10 for DBD is interesting. I find that really interesting, especially since the last few years we really haven't had much other than TCM, which was we decided was 2023. We learned. So yeah, it's interesting. These are all three coming out relatively in just a handful of months. So that's cool. That's really cool. Well, with that, we'll get into Red Stain Radio's killer tier list. If you're unfamiliar, we are adding a killer to the Red Stain Radio's official killer tier list every week. And so we are currently on The Clown, and our current tier list is as follows. It has these tiers: S, A, B, C, and D. There are no pluses or minuses. So at S, we have Nurse, A, Hillbilly, B is pretty packed with Shape, Huntress, Nightmare. Thank you, Stevie, for backing me up last week regarding the Nightmare. I still think Nightmare is better than Huntress, but I will leave it there. Wraith, Bubba. And then at C, we have Pig, Doctor, and Hag. And then at D, all by himself, is our main man, Trapper. This week, we have the Clown. Gotchi, Steven, and Zuki. If you do not know, we all say where we think this killer ranks at the count of 3, and then we kind of discuss it out. So it being 6 of us is going to be interesting, but especially I know this group has a varying range of MMR. I know we don't know our MMRs, but we can all guess what our MMRs are.
It's just me. My MMR is bad. Everyone else is on the same MMR.
No,
to each other.
Not at all, Gotchi. Not at all. I think we this group represents the spectrum of the MMR, which I think is good. We need representation. Anyway, on the count of 3, I'll count to 3. We'll all say which of those tiers we think the Clown is in. I'll let you give you a second to think about it. Okay. Where do you think the Clown sits on just an S, A, B, C, D tier? Okay. Are we good? On the count of 3, we'll all say it. Okay. 1, 2, 3. C.
C.
Who's that? Okay,
Steven, what? Okay,
Steven.
you got to start.
Okay. Yeah, Steven, you said A. Take it away. Why do you think Clown is an A tier?
Okay, y'all hate me already. All of you were like, what? No, Clown is the best M1 killer in the game. By far to me. Yeah, who's better?
Sadako, honestly. Sadako, I'm sorry.
No.
I don't know if Sadako's an M1. I wouldn't consider Sadako an M1
Sadako
killer.
isn't an M1 killer.
Yeah, she teaches.
M1 killer.
I mean, she doesn't. Okay, go ahead, Steven.
Sorry.
I get such PTSD whenever I'm in a match with a Clown. It's scary. I think a Clown player who knows what they're doing, even slightly, is so hard to play against. And this is coming from somebody who I think some of the best killers in the game are a cakewalk. Like, I don't think Spirit is good, and I think Blight is not top tier for me, but this is where my skill gap comes in.
We have varying ranges of MMR, folks.
Okay, Steven.
All right, I don't want to hear nothing coming from anybody. No, but all jokes aside, I probably, like, for me, low A, high B. And the reasoning is I think Clown is so just anti-loopable if played right. It just eliminates such a key aspect of the game. Now, if you are a really good survivor and you can chain different loops together, with windows, pallets combined, then yeah, his kit kind of becomes irrelevant. But even his map traversal with the speed bottles is, that he'll hook somebody on one side of the map and 5 seconds later he's already there. But I just think the anti-loop aspect that he has is crazy. To me, it's even on the same tier as like a Singularity in terms of anti-loop. For me, it's so hard.
That is maybe one of the hottest takes ever on this podcast. So I heard a lot of C's. Were there anyone else who didn't say A or C? Zuki, I saw you unmute.
No, C.
Okay. Gotcha, you're C?
I also said C, yes.
Madison, Stevie, C's as well?
Yeah.
C all the way. I'm
Okay. Does someone want to take it on as to why they think it's C?
I'm convinced Clown is missing a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to expand upon that? Go ahead, Zuki.
Yeah, let me let
whoever.
Zuki take it, because this is a little obvious, so I want you grab it.
So I think it's a high C, to be fair, because like in 1v1 chases, yeah, sure, he's pretty good, like he's faster than most, but there's a lot of counterplay. If you play your pallets properly, he can still be countered. And he does nothing else. Like, he has no map info. If a survivor holds W properly, the other 3 can just do their thing regularly. Like, he gets to places fast, but he doesn't do multiple things. Like, he doesn't keep info through the map. And like, obviously, like, I'm ignoring perks. Like, perks can fix a lot of his downfalls, but Other than being very fast and being good in 1v1, I think he's lacking. He feels more oppressive because of the way people are playing the clown. Like, go back to the hook right away and tunnel the shit out of people. Like, but that's just because it's a gameplay issue. I don't think it's because of its power himself. I could go to B, to be entirely fair. A is an interesting take. I understand where you're coming from, though. I totally get it. It's just with a team that doesn't go away from objectives, he's going to fall behind super fast.
Yeah, that's well said. Anyone else want to expand upon that? Being C tier?
I'll just quickly add one thing I feel like that makes Clown so weak is that he's one of the few killers where you can lose a chase or be legitimately punished for using your power normally. His speed bottles, for those who don't know, if you're a survivor and you're under the hindered from his purple bottle and you run into his yellow bottle, which gives a speed boost, it cleanses the hindered away and gives you that speed boost. You are punished as killer for using your power if the bottles are too close to one another. And I think he's one of the few killers where using your power punishes you in that scenario. And I feel like with that caveat, along with things like your speed cloud needs to start up before you can use it. It's not instant like your slowdown one. And then after a certain amount of bottles, you need to recharge, which slows you down quite a bit, I would say, and takes a few seconds to fully recharge. And then, you have to aim it, which is not that hard. But if you're not top 100 clown main NA, it's going to be kind of hard sometimes if it's not like a really compact loop or like a really short loop. And in those scenarios, most M1 killers can get the same value than Cloud and have a different power. Like, any killer who's 115 in a short loop can get a guaranteed hit the same way Clown can. He can just make it more guaranteed. He very much is, I can do the basic things really good, but everyone else can do it okay, and okay is all you need, in my opinion. And I think because of that, that puts Clown at C, because everyone can do what he does, but better, in my opinion.
Stevie, Gotchi, any thoughts you want to add?
I will say this is the baby MMR take, but I mean, every killer feels like an S tier killer when I'm playing against them because I'm bad at the game. But I think I just put him at C because in just the general sphere of killers, I feel like he's easier to kind of learn the counterplay for me at least. And I've had some really horrendous games against a clown, but then I've also had some games against clown where I've like run them in circles, which doesn't happen often, but I feel like it was easier for me to understand like the basics of the kit and kind of how to counterplay that, which feels like, he doesn't have a bunch of convoluted stuff that I have to learn. Like, if I'm playing against a Vecna, I'm like, oh my God, there's 700 things going on and I don't know what I'm doing. So, but yeah, I mean, a good killer player can make any killer feel S tier, and a bad killer player can make any killer feel D tier. It just depends on the perks and who's behind them. But I think in just general, like, baseline terms, for me, it feels like a C.
That's well said, Gotchi. It's a lot of a spectrum thing, and I think Clown has a very low ceiling. I think, like, what you could learn to do on a clown after hundreds of hours will get you as far as learning a Dredge or a Freddy could get you. It's tough for me to say Clown's a little A tier. I think with recent changes, I think there's no real way Clown can break out of mid B tier. I think map mobility is something he's always suffered with, and the yellow bottles didn't change that much. I think using a yellow bottle to get to a generator, let alone 2 yellow bottles, just means you have to reload sooner. It just means you have to slow down somewhere else along the map. Using the yellow bottles is, better to make a chase turn from a 50-50 loop to 100%, or turn a safe loop into a 50-50 loop. It's those things that the yellow bottle's for, where every other chase killer kind of gets like a Mondo lunge or a teleport or a projectile. that, could actually kill someone. And I think even if we were to pull in like Pinky Finger base kit, if we're thinking all add-ons, then we can put Clown in B tier. But I still think Pinky Finger is one of like the weakest exposed add-ons out there. It's just nothing. He's got so little to his kit. You need to boost up his gen defense. You need to boost up his map mobility. You need to boost his lethality. And to that point, we see things like haste stacking, diminishing returns, kind of just nerf being that. A clown nerf. Well, let me think of it like that, because now, haste from your bottles and haste from your rapid brutality and haste from your batteries included and haste from your play with your food. I mean, not like you're running play with your food on clown, but all these things just now have to be carefully considered rather than just like all work on clown. You now have to decide, I pick one speed perk, I pick one gen perk, and he just still doesn't have enough to him.
Yeah, you all put it well. I can't really say anything unique. I think just the map pressure is just not there. He barely has the power. And I think it's kind of easy to loop at times.
I still think like he shouldn't be changed though. Like he's in his comfy C slot. Like we need some easier to learn, lower skill ceiling killers. I think like it's fine to have him simple. There. Yeah, he's simple. He's simple to play against. Although oppressive,
anyone out there, let me say, anyone thinking Clown is a little stronger, or Clown feels like S tier against me, or I feel like he's a 1v1 monster and I always die and all my team escapes. How do I do it? You just pre-drop. Just treat every pallet as a part of your life. Put them down. Just drop that wood. You don't have to play for the stun. He'll hit you. Just put the wood down, and he has to kick it. He can't go around it. He has to kick it. And if it's a short loop, you can see him over it. If it's a tall loop, you still might be able to see him over it. He's a tall guy. He's a noisy guy. Kenneth is easy.
Now, if we were talking about, that's such a good clown. That is a good clown. we need a soundboard with that, Zuki. You can record that later for us. I do think if we're talking about his perks, though, I'd put those in A tier. I'd put his perks in A tier.
He does have like some of the best perks in the game, which is kind of ironic, honestly. Like Bamboozle's great, and Pop Goes the Wheels are pretty decent.
Pop got nerfed, but we don't talk about still. It's still not terrible, but it's okay. Steven, any final words? Do you want to change? Are you sticking to A? Any final words before we? I think we have one more question before we place him somewhere, but in C tier. But any last thoughts on?
No. All the points you guys made was very true. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe it's just because I always struggle with Clown.
Yeah.
And like I said, I do very well, and Bryson and Zuki can attest to this. I do very well with other killers. Like I said, Blight, I never seem to have a problem with Blight. Nurse, Spirit, I just don't tend not to struggle with them as much. But I think because Clown is so simple, it is so much easier for people to get good at him. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm looking at it in the perspective of I think the average Clown player is going to be better than a lot of average other players, besides Singularity and Artist, because there's always P100s of those killers. It's very, very niche killers for them, but I just think such an easy base kit to learn, and I think that's why maybe I struggle, because too many people are good at such a simple character. Yeah. Said, very easy to get, very easy to master, so I think more people master Clown with other killers compared to a lot of other killers.
We've all got our kryptonite killer. Mine is Pyramid Head and Spirit. Those two fuck me over all the time. But yeah, I get where you were coming from.
I mean,
we've all got those killers we're bad against.
Oh, I'm terrible against Clown. Like I fall to him in 6 seconds flat. I just can't find the damn thing. Still a C to me, but I don't have that kind of like yeah, sure, drop the pallet ahead of time. I never had that mentality. I hide in lockers, for freaking
sake. One last question. So he's going in C tier for sure. Where does he go? We have Pig, Doctor, and Hag. I think he should go between Pig and Doctor. I don't think he has much map pressure as Pig.
Yeah.
And I think he's better than Doctor.
I would say either above Doctor or under Doctor, because I feel like they're actually pretty close, because they're kind of similar. Like they are
great
ways to get like to find survivors, in my opinion, and they have great ways in Loop, but they don't have anything.
Doctor
else.
has more better information than Clown.
Yeah.
I think
better
under
mobility,
Doctor.
Clown.
That's what I was
Under
thinking.
Doctor?
Like under Doctor better than Hag. God.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hag, sorry, can they buff her, please? Like,
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
So at C tier we have Hag, Clown, Doctor, Pig. That's what we're going with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that feels fair.
Cool. Well, we've added another killer. We have many, many more to go. We've only gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've only gone through 12 killers.
Yep, and we have like
so
50
Although,
total, so we're getting there.
Yeah, we've got quite a few, and in addition to wherever ones come out by then. So, and any reworks that come along the way as well. Which Trapper's maybe rumored to be getting one next year.
Ooh.
Or this year. Cool. Well, thank you all so much. That is all we have for you this week. Remember, we do have a community night tomorrow night. If you're listening this on release day, Thursday, Friday, July 17th, come watch Obsession with us. If you can't make it, try to catch it when you can, because it is a damn good movie. If you're not in the Discord, you can join by joining in the Discord using the link in the description. I know some folks have been wondering where that is. It's in the description, or if you find our link tree in our socials, you can find us the link there as well. Thank you all so much. This was a lot of fun. We are excited for next week episode, of course, as always. Thank you, Zuki. Thank you, Steven. Thank you, Gachi, for joining us. It was a pleasure having you again. We'd love to have you again as well. Thank you, Stevie. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, listeners and viewers. We appreciate your support. We greatly appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll see you all in the fog next week.